Last time, the town of Generic managed to install geothermal heat pumps in each and every home. This increased air quality and led to better health. However, the single largest source of greenhouse gases is still running rampant through the town and must be stopped. It is not a mystery that automobiles, or at least the petroleum that their engines use, is an environmental nightmare. It is also one of the most precious commodities on the world market. Nowhere is this more true than in North America. Towns like Generic were built as farming communities that slowly grew without much thought for urban planning. Because of this, neighborhoods were not always set up with the necessities, like a store or hospital, within easy walking distance. With towns like Generic set up in this manner, everyone is forced to own an automobile. Therefore, there is little demand for a dedicated public transit system. The price of oil increases, and citizens turn to a public transit system that hasn't received funding for many years. The system is old, outdated, and inconvenient, forcing citizens back into the driver's seat.
It is a common opinion among governments that replacing oil itself would be the best action to take. Unfortunately, the easiest and most inexpensive alternative involves the use of biofuels, most commonly ethanol. Ethanol is often claimed to be an environmental solution, but upon closer examination, it has a larger ecological footprint than fossil fuels themselves. Fuel crops such as corn or sugarcane require deforestation to produce farmland. The carbon dioxide that the forest would otherwise absorb during photosynthesis remains in the atmosphere, leading to a net carbon gain estimated to be up to 93 times higher than fossil fuel burning. In addition to this, plants generally have a very high nitrogen content. During combustion, this nitrogen becomes nitrous oxide, which is a strong greenhouse gas, as well as a cause of acid rain. Biofuels are really just a solution for the rising cost and diminishing supply of oil. From an environmental perspective, they will lead to even bigger problems than we're already experiencing. Another replacement for oil is hydrogen power, a very promising renewable energy for the future. It seems unlikely to be suitable today, however. Much more research and development time is needed to make hydrogen power safer and more efficient, and we don't have that time. We need to act now. The first challenge in the process is obtaining hydrogen. The most cost-effective way to do this, unfortunately, is by burning fossil fuels. Luckily, methods with a smaller footprint exist. Electrolysis of water splits the H2O particle into hydrogen and oxygen gas. This process is emission-free as long as the necessary electricity is generated from a clean source, such as solar or wind. The problem with water electrolysis is that fresh water is becoming a scarcer resource around the world, and as climate change sets in, droughts will become more common. Would it be possible to perform electrolysis on grey water, wastewater from activities such as washing dishes? Hydrogen can also be obtained from sources such as biomass or nuclear power. Each of these has their own set of environmental, health, or social justice concerns. As you can see, there is no perfect way of collecting hydrogen. Once the process enters the stage of consumption, however, hydrogen power is very clean. A fuel cell burns the hydrogen gas with the oxygen found in air, and the only emission is water vapor. Some of you may be wondering, isn't water vapor a greenhouse gas? The answer is yes, but it is not considered to be affected by humans. The atmosphere has an upper limit to the amount of water vapor it can hold. This is where terms like 60% humidity come from. The water molecule also has a very short lifespan in the atmosphere, a matter of days, as opposed to hundreds of years for most greenhouse gases. The water cycle tends to keep things moving and properly balanced. It was mentioned earlier that unpolluted fresh water is becoming scarce around the world. If we obtained hydrogen from a source such as waste biomass, burned it in a fuel cell, and found a way to condense, collect, and purify the resulting water vapor, we'd have a new source of fresh water for the world. It was also mentioned that hydrogen can be obtained from electrolysis of water. It would be wonderful if we could figure out a way to continually reverse the equation inside a fuel cell. Hydrogen will be burned in oxygen, and a small portion of the resulting energy would split the newly formed water back into its original gases, in a sort of self-sustaining loop. As far as we know, neither of these ideas have been explored in depth by scientists, but they are exciting possibilities. Hydrogen, the simplest element in the universe, could replace every fossil fuel. It can heat homes, run cars, and produce electricity. The technology is exciting and promising, but it has a long way to go before it could be implemented.
For now, generic may have to adapt and improve on existing systems. More fuel-efficient cars come out each year, and with voter support behind it, public transit could be improved. Corner stores could be built on empty lots to provide food services within walking distance. If proper urban planning is used, new neighborhoods will not have the same problems as older ones. Most importantly, a change in attitude is required. The citizens of generic have already shown that they can adapt to the changing times. With a few more changes, generic will be sustainable long into the future. This concludes our series on the town of Generic. All of us here at K&K Studios hope that you have learned something from our demonstration of the town. Please feel free to pass our videos on to friends, either to enjoy or to make fun of.